All right, what up? All right, we got a what's this? What year is this?
Yeah. Oh,
2007 FJ Cruiser. All right, so customer complaint is that they replaced the battery. Upon replacing the battery due to a dead battery, they saw that the vehicle didn't want to start it. Right, so asked if I could come in and diagnose the vehicle and see why it's a crank no start. They noticed that the check engine light isn't on, so you could put the seat back and put the key on, battery on. No, yeah, so what they're getting here is a crank no start and basically no engine check light, right? So this is a 2000 and, let's see. All right, so you see that we basically don't have no check light, right? I won't give a crank and see exactly what's going on. Nothing. Like this battery is dead. All right, cool. So first thing I'm gonna do is just see if I could wind the glass down. Yes, I could. All right, next I'm gonna put the maintainer on it and see exactly what's good, right? So they already went after the ECU, right? Basically the ECU may not be communicating with the vehicle. So let's put the scan tool on it, see if we get some directions, pull up a wiring diagram. And all right, so also they remove all the sensors and let's just unplug them just to see if the check light will come back on, thinking, well, if the 5-volt reference is being pulled down, right? But I'm gonna let them put it back up while I'm diagnosing the vehicle. Yeah, so this is a FJ Cruiser, right? So this has basically a V6, right? So this is bank 1, this is bank 2, right? I believe this have what, the GRFE?
1GRFE.
Yeah, the 1GRFE on it. So the good working vehicle and it's very powerful. So I just got the maintainer on to make sure that the battery don't drop below 12 volts while we doing our test, right? So let's go in the vehicle and see what's going on. We already know it's a crank no start, right? But I'm going to show you exactly what's going on, right? So as I put the ignition on, you see that I'm not seeing no check light, right? So I'm supposed to be getting the crank, right? So I'm supposed to be getting a check light to the right, but let's crank this over a few times, right? And you see it's definitely not starting at all. So we definitely got to bring out the scan tool and see how far that takes us, right? But I'm seeing 160,000 kilometers on the dash, right? I won't say it's low mileage, but it's not extremely high anyway too. So let's see exactly what direction the scan tool gives us, right? So yeah, I believe the customer did mention that they brought our next tech to take a look at it, and he wasn't successful to get the vehicle start, and that's when she contacted my boy right here, right? And he also wasn't able to get it to start, right? And I asked him to do some checks for me prior to bringing the vehicle here, which he did. And well, I'm just going to confirm exactly what I already know is the issue, or I think what is the issue, right? So we don't have no communication with this PCM, and that's not allowing the vehicle to start, right? Once you see have no check light, that's an indication that the PCM is down, right, and not communicating. But what we're going to do, let's go into one of these modules, right, and see if we can talk to them, right? And basically we are, right? So we're getting to talk to other modules except the PCM. We're not seeing that at all, so it definitely down. So I gotta check my powers and grounds and all that good stuff, right? But I gotta get my hands on a wiring diagram to figure out exactly what's going on. Is it a network fault? Like if it's an over harness fault, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, right? So as you can see, I'm definitely getting some data from the other modules, right? So it's not completely down, right? But as I said, man, let me just get my hands on a wiring diagram to be sure exactly what I'm looking at. I'm not familiar with this vehicle and how it's operating. It looks simple, but it beats taking apart all these things that they did prior to me coming, right? So let's see if we can save this report. So we could share with the client, right? They got the PCM out, which is actually easy to do my test from, right? But what do I do first? Let's keep it simple, right? Um, we could check the relay, we could check the fuse. I got the fuse box right there, so I can just just do a quick check on all my fuse, make sure that the ECU is getting power, right? It could be a blown fuse due to how they set it up. But before we do anything, right? Um, hmm, no, let's check for fuse, right? So let's just run through this real quick. So I'm definitely going to check through all my fuse, right? I already know is a ignition fuse, right? It's actually real quick just to do this, right? So all our fuse looks good, and I just don't have no issue with power, right? You have to also keep that back in mind that they did try to jumpstart this vehicle, so I'm not sure if they cross polarity when the stuff. I don't know, right? But next time I want to do is just check for 5-volt ref on the easiest sensor I could get my hands on, which is the throttle, the cam, anyone, right? So I'm looking for 5 volts. I'm not seeing 5 volts here on my signal wire, right? So I don't know exactly what color code it is, but I'm just gonna check for 5 volts. I must see 5 volts on one of these sensors or even this actuator, right? And if you're not seeing it, well, that's letting me know more that the ECU is not powering up or not supplying that 5 volt to the sensors and stuff like that, right? So I'm also using this as a tutorial for my boy, show him how to properly test circuits, right? If it's a 3-pin wire, you must have a 5 volt, a signal, and a ground, right? So the best way to check it is to have it unplugged. If you're not seeing any 5 volt, that means our system is down. It could be something pulling it down, but in this case, I highly doubt that's the issue. It just looked like the PCM is, said enough, no mass, I guess, right? So yeah, we're not getting no signal at all, right? But as I said, I'm just using this to show my guy right here how to properly check circuits and do these little tests instead of taking apart all these things, right? I'm not saying I have never done this before, but that's kind of old school. I'm not gonna scrap and take apart all those things looking for something, man. You kind of have to know how to do these basic tests, you know, where you can get a direction without taking apart a whole intake manifold. You saw how much stuff he had off just to get access to it, right? So you could unplug this simple cam sensor right here and just do some checks, and that's him doing some checks. I'm showing him how to properly use his tools, and he's a very sharp guy. So just appreciate that he showing some interest in learning these things, right? So we definitely had to go a little beyond, right? So as I said, man, let me get my hands on line diagram, right? I'm gonna do some checks on this relay, right? This is ECU control. So what the ECU will do is send a ground to this relay to activate, so it could trigger on the fuel pump and other stuff to get the vehicle to run, right? And if I'm not getting no ground or basically no power to this relay, it can't work, right? So I'm just gonna use this breakout relay tester to see exactly what's going on the pins. Yes, I could have done it another way, but as I said, I'm just using this as a learning experience for this guy, my boy right here, right? So you see that light, how it's glowing real bright? That's letting me know that I have good power across the control side of the relay, right? But what's going on, I'm not getting anything on the load side. Yeah, I'm just I'm just tying myself up a little bit, right? So when I hit the switch, I'm getting the fuel pump to prime on, right? So that's letting me know that it works, right? The harness is good and stuff like that, but it's also letting me know that I'm not getting that ground to trigger on this relay from the ECU, right? So I'm just messing around a little bit more so I can just show my guy how to properly test, right? You don't gotta use all these fancy tools. I have these tools and make my job a little easier, right? But from there, you see that I'm not getting that that ground to pull down that or activate that relay, right? I'm getting 13 volts because I got my maintainer on. The vehicle's not running, right? So basically, yeah, that's it for this, right? So you hear the fuel pump is running, so that's letting me know that the harness is good, right? But no command on the ground side, right? So let's do some more tests. And right, so the next thing we're going to do is check our CAN network, right? So we got two 120 ohms terminating resistors within this vehicle. We got one on the ECU, and basically we got the next one hidden in other various components, right? So it consists of the yaw rate sensor, the what you call this, the ABS. We got it in this power steering module setup, right, and some other things, right? But I could tell based on my waveform if the network is down, but I'm gonna do it, keep it real basic. As I said, I'm using this as a kind of tutorial. Um, I'm gonna use my multimeter to do some checks, right? So when you got 220 ohm resistor in parallel, right, you'll basically get 60 to 61, 62 ohms, right? Give or take, right? Now, if I unplug the ECU, I'm expecting see 120, 123 ohms around there, right? So that's letting me know that my CAN network is good if I'm seeing 60, 62 ohms, right? But if I'm seeing like 120, that's letting me know that, hey, I can have a harness problem or a fault on my ECM or even on my what you call it, on the other various modules, right? But we gotta do some checks before we just condemn that, right? I want to keep it basic. I want to use a multimeter, right, and to show him exactly what's going on, and then I'm gonna go onto the scope to show exactly how it'll look using the waveforms, right? You'll know if your system is down or if you have a fault, if it's basically pull to power or pull up to power or pull down to ground, or as I said, man, let's use the breakout box. Right now you see I've got 62 ohms, so I'm going to let them unplug the PCM, and I'm expecting to see anything like 120 ohms pop up on this multimeter, right? That's letting me know that my system is intact if I'm getting 62 ohms, right? So we just doing some tests to just verify what we already know. We already know the PCM has the issue, but we just have to make sure we cover all our basic. And there is, you see 123 ohms with it unplugged. And if you plug it back in, right, you're going to see it go back up to 62. That's letting me know that my harness is good. That's letting me know everything is good here. So I have the fault in the ECU, right? But even my signals. This is my can high and can low, right? I'm using the picoscope, and you see that it's looking good. I have no faults, right? Now, kind of hard to see it based right. I didn't do a screenshot of this, but it's letting me know that my system is good. I don't have it pulled to ground. It's not pulled to power. Is I'm getting a nice perfect square wave, right? But when he unplugs it, right, you see that my waveform start to go, crazy, right? So this is basically what it is, right? So let's like what else could we do? We could check power and ground on the ECU, right? I don't think I have to do that, but as I said, man, I'm just using this as a tutorial because guys always reaching out to me asking me, yo, how you did that and how you figure out this and all that good stuff, right? Which is cool, right? But I'm putting out that information so y'all could see exactly how easy it is to diagnose and troubleshoot, and always go beyond. I mean, I could have stopped, way back at the throttle and call the ECU, but I gotta make sure when I tell the customer, yo, you gotta pay eight to $900 on a module. I gotta make sure I'm on point, right? So that is why I go beyond with all this testing, right? Some may say it's overkill. It's up to them. I mean, this is what I do, right? So just let me know that I have a problem right on the ECU side, and everything else is there, right? If I go on to my what you call it, my other modules, if I'm rocking the steering, you've seen everybody else is moving and reacting. Why the PCM is the only thing that's not there, right? And my harness is good, my power is good, but how many times have you been wrong on calling a module? I mean, you gotta ask yourself that. I mean, this module is like $700-800, right? US. And if you make the incorrect call, I mean, you gotta eat that. You dig? And I'm not planning on eating no what you call it, FJ Cruiser module, because you hardly see those vehicles here anymore. I believe they discontinue it. So that means if I make the wrong call, that means I gotta take that hit, or my guy gotta take that hit. So we gotta make sure when we, troubleshoot these vehicles, we gotta keep peeling back all that layer to make sure, it's the right call. You know, so I'm gonna do the CAN network testing from the ECU, right? Make sure that is well too. I mean, I already know it's good because I checked from DLC, but I'm checking from the ECU also. Make sure all is well, right? When you unplug, you see I'm getting 123 ohms, right? That's letting me know my wiring diagram is correct. Also, that's letting me know I'm I'm sure what I'm doing, right? You see that, I'm lit up, right? My relay is on. I'm getting 13 volts, right? If I go and plug it back in, you see that, all is well. So I'm just doing this, and I said, to just show y'all guys, yo, you gotta keep digging, man. You guys keep going at it, because if you make the bad call, you're gonna end up eating those parts, or actually might end up throwing the wrong parts at these vehicles, and the customer is gonna definitely lose confidence in you, right? So this isn't about all the fancy tools, as some will say, but just the approach when you're diagnosing these vehicles, man. Get accustomed to using wiring diagrams. Get accustomed to using the tools. I mean, from a multimeter to a test light. Get accustomed to, having the correct tools, So this is what I do, you dig? And you see when I activate um you activate, you see that my voltage is changing, So I'm definitely getting power to this module. But I'm gonna go a little beyond again, right? I'm gonna take this module apart, and I'm gonna make sure, look at something, right? So I'm just gonna put this back in. You're hearing that it's clicking. Clicking doesn't mean it's working, but I also had my breakout relay tester was on it, and I was able to do all my checks from there, right? And I'm seeing what I need to see, right? I'm getting power, ground, but I'm gonna go a little beyond again, right? I'm gonna show you the next step that you can use, right? To make sure everything is good. So um, we're gonna open up this box, right? But we're gonna just use a test light. We're gonna go after power and ground, right? To use white with a black stripe as a ground, right? I already know what's my power, so you see I'm getting power to the box, right? I'm getting 12 volt to the box, right? So that's letting me know that I'm good, man. So we're gonna even check our grounds. You can't just always look at power, you gotta look at grounds as well, right? So right now I'm just gonna go onto a ground wire, and any one of those ground wires, right? You can tell by the different um size of wire, right? And you see I'm getting, 12 volts there. I mean, my light is lit bright, right? So we're gonna take this box apart, and let's do some checks and see exactly if we can see anything. Let's pull it off and get a glance and see what's going on inside this box. Alright, so it doesn't look like it's burnt. Let's see. Okay, so I'm putting the thermal camera on while the key is on, right? Engine off. I'm looking for, anything that's extremely hot, right? The heat spots is letting me know that I'm getting current to these parts of the box, right? But what does that say? Does that let me know that the processor is powering up? No, it doesn't, right? But at least I know that I'm seeing that I'm getting power to the box, right? So, which is a good thing, right? So that also let me know that my harness is good, my fuse is good, my relay is good, everything is good, man, right? So this is the last step right here, right? So I'm gonna take it apart. I want to do some checks on the bench. Okay, let's take this off, have a conversation with the customer, and figure out what they would like to do, if they would like to replace the box or just fix it. I'm not sure. The processor is not getting power. Wonder why. As I said, let's take this to the bench and take some, look under the microscope and see if what's going on. Right, so I'm gonna do some checks on this box, and from what I'm seeing, I'm not getting no power to my. Well, I'm getting a low voltage on my voltage regulator IC, right, which is this one right here, right. So I'm gonna see if I can replace this IC and see the vehicle check light will come back on, right. So let me swap that out and see what's good. So the customer supplied the voltage regulator IC, which we swapped out, and there you have it. We definitely have a check light now, right? Let's see if it starts. Yep, it started right up. Solid. Right, so don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, man. You see that work that your boy is putting in right there, right? This is the IC that the customer supplied, right? I'm gonna do a scan, make sure everything is good, right? And deliver this to the customer, right? I know she wouldn't be excited that she got a vehicle back, right? We did our best. I mean, we make sure we did all our checks before we made the call on the ECU. As I said, the ECU was costing like around 700 US, and there you have it. Sweet, man. I mean, let's rev it up and see. Okay, so it's revved up. I'm just gonna go a little beyond as usual. Let's check for 5 volts. I know the 5 volts gonna be there, right? It's kind of dusty. We gotta clean this up before we deliver it to her, right? So I'm going to pick the easiest thing, which is the cam sensor, and let's check for 5 volts, right? Before we wasn't getting anything on the throttle or the cam sensor, right? So I expected to see 5 volts now on that cam sensor, and we're gonna call that a fix, man. Now I'm getting 4.9, which is 5 volts, right? Before I was getting like millivolts. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, fellas. I mean, do my best to put out some good workout here, so you have to take pattern. You dig? I'm getting my signal, right? 2.4 in my cam, right? If I want, I could scope it, but I'm not gonna do all that, right? This car is fixed, and that's it, man. So continue to support the channel. So continue to share the word. They continue to do good work. Follow these little tips and tricks I've been showing you all on the channel. And until next time. Big this was a good one, man. Really, sometimes when you get these kind of vehicles that come in the garage that you beat, it feels good, man. So until next time, y'all take it easy.